What if the fate of this Lakers team our next shot at glory isn't just about who's on the roster, or how many buckets they drop? What if it all hinges on timing the fragile balance between potential and patience, between what's earned and what's thrown away too soon? Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, where raw truth meets purple and gold passion. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a second of this drama. Now, let me take you deep into the swirling chaos behind the scenes, where the Lakers have rewritten their entire roster from scratch, adding Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia, Adri Ayton, plus new two-way contract players, reshaping this team in a way few expected so quickly. Yet, despite this frenzy of moves and the promise they bring, the fans aren't exactly breathing easy. No, they want more. They're calling for bold salary dumps involving Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber, or bigger. Trades that could shake the very core of the roster, maybe even involve a name that's become a lightning rod of debate: Dalton Holmes. You see, Dalton Holmes started last season as a piece with promise. He was in the rotation, even starting games, flashing the kind of potential that makes a Lakers fan's heart beat faster. But then, he vanished from the late season lineup, was mostly a ghost in the playoffs, and came into Summer League struggling to find his rhythm or his confidence. It's this slump that has dropped his trade value into uncharted territory. Yonbua's recent scoop confirms what many feared: Holmes' value has plummeted so sharply that teams no longer see him as a first-round draft pick asset. Once pegged for a good mid to late first-round pick, now he can't even fetch that. And some whisper he's barely worth anything more than a Band-Aid deal. So, shouldn't the Lakers just cut their losses and move on? Trade him while there's still something on the table before the value evaporates entirely? It's the kind of cold arithmetic that fans hate, but front offices live and breathe, especially when the clock is ticking on a championship window. Here's where the plot thickens. Although no big trades have happened yet this offseason, it's remarkable how the Lakers have managed to overhaul their team without surrendering a single trade asset, still holding onto that lone first-round pick for future pick swaps and prized young talents like Austin Reeves and, yes, Holmes himself. So the power is there if they want to pull the trigger. In fact, reports have surfaced that the Lakers were aggressive on the trade market before ever landing Marcus Smart, moonlighting calls to the Timberwolves about Donte DiVincenzo, the Grizzlies about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, figures who hint at how meticulously this front office prowls for upgrades. Smart's arrival, filling that critical backcourt defender role, might cool the trade flames for now. But don't be fooled. The Lakers remain students of the market, still ready to pounce if something fits. But back to Holmes. Fan sentiment has turned chilly. After his summer league stumble, whispers turned to outright calls for a trade. Some even saying he's hit his ceiling, that even Bronny James could be viewed as a better bet. At this stage, the defense isn't helping. Either team see the stagnation, a lack of growth, and worry that at 24, nearly 25, his trajectory is on the decline, not the rise. Yet, let's not throw away the tapes of his rookie season. For a stretch 16 games leading up to the trade deadline, Dalton Holmes was a key starter, lining up the stat sheet, leading all rookies with nearly 17 points per game on 46.1% shooting overall and a stunning 39.5% from 3 on 8 attempts per night. That's not a tiny sample. That's about a fifth of a full NBA season, and in those games, he showed dazzling promise. These are performances far too real to be dismissed as mere potential. But then came the trade that never was a deal, that got reversed and seemed to shake his confidence to the core. From a player once embraced to one ignored and squeezed out of the rotation, his fall was as much mental as physical. The Lakers lineup has evolved with his decline, too. Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia now command key minutes as defensive stalwarts and offensive glue. Gabe Vincent holding his own, pushing Holmes into the shadows, a 9th or 10th man at best. Without natural pathways to the point guard minutes, Holmes is left to carve out a role off the ball, where his strengths lie in movement, catch and shoot threes, backdoor cuts. But do those flashes translate to enough minutes on a team fighting for every inch? That's the million-dollar question. Is it smart to keep a player whose value is evaporating because he's trapped behind others who fit the system more seamlessly? Or is there value in gambling on a man who's shown flashes of brilliance, who thrives not with the ball in his hands, but when other stars, heavyweights like LeBron James and Luka Doncic, are drawing defenses like moths to a flame? Remember, Dalton's game isn't built on isolation or ball dominance. It's built on slime movement and nailing open shots created by the chaos around him. Maybe he's the puzzle piece that fits if given the right matchups, against teams lacking the defenders to chase him off screens and keep tabs on his cunning cuts. Maybe the rough summer league doesn't tell the whole story. Maybe it's just a bad chapter before the comeback. This is the same fellow who once could explode for 20 or 30 points in less than a half. A glimpse of what the Lakers could harness if they find his role, his rhythm, his confidence again. But the Lakers also face practical realities. The search for a legitimate, proven 3-and-D wing remains urgent, and if Holmes can't augment his value, will the Lakers' front office decide that his roster spot and potential trade value are better used to land that piece? Or will they recommit to seeing if they can reignite the flame, giving him selective minutes in the right games to restore confidence and polish a patient approach that values the long term over short-term optics? The NBA is notorious for its short-term memory, where one cold streak can erase an entire career's promise overnight. Yet, the big picture demands we look deeper. Yes, Holmes is 24, edging towards an age where potential becomes urgency, but he still has untapped ceilings. His best basketball, the kind that electrified fans in that stretch before the trade saga and subsequent benching, hints at what might be if this team can harness him properly again. So, what do you think? How do you feel about this portrait of his trade value, no longer a prized first-rounder, but now barely even a draft pick? Do you hold on, trusting in a rebound, or are you ready to cut bait, trading him now to salvage whatever is left before it slips away completely? This isn't just about one player. It's about the soul of this Lakers team and what kind of risk they're willing to take chasing the next title run. As a lifelong Lakers fan, I can't help but feel the weight of all these questions pressing heavy on our hopes, because every move echoes the ghosts of past dynasties, triumphs snatched and heartbreaks endured. So is this the start of a new empire, or the beginning of our unraveling? Drop your take in the comments. I'll be reading everyone. Listen up, Lakers Nation. This is the moment where every ounce of your devotion gets tested. This isn't just off-season chatter or fan theories whispered in dark corners of the internet. This is the raw nerve of our team's identity trembling under the weight of expectation and brutal reality. Because what's at stake goes way beyond just one player's stats or one trade rumor. This is about LeBron's final chapters, the legacy of Anthony Davis, the promise of Bronny James, and Austin Reeves carving out his own legend. This, my friends, is about whether the Lakers can pull themselves out of this swirling, suffocating storm, or if we're about to be swallowed whole by it. Think about LeBron James for a second. Here's a man balancing on the razor's edge of history, defying Father Time with all the grace of a seasoned warrior. Yet every move the franchise makes ripples through his twilight seasons. This team throws everything on the line for him, because this is likely the last stand of a once-in-a-generation athlete who has carried the torch for purple and gold across eras, transcending generations. But think deeper. Does this relentless push on LeBron risk burning him out too fast? Is the front office loading up the roster with layer after layer of uncertainty, weakening the support around him in hopes the gamble pays off? Because if the gamble fails, it's not just lost games, it's the fracture of a legacy we all hold sacred. And then there's AD, whose body carries the full weight of championship expectations, like a titan burdened by the ghosts of Kareem and Magic. The question hangs heavy: can Davis rise fully healed, refocus amid chaotic roster shifts, and lead this fractured ensemble to a title once again? Or does the swelling turmoil around him stunt that resurgence, leaving us watching a star dim under pressure we cannot contain? Now toss Bronny James into this volatile mix, the heir apparent, the fresh hope the future Lakers face. What are we building if we gamble recklessly? The kid needs a sturdy foundation, mentorship, and a spotlight that nurtures rather than consumes. If front office moves spiral out of control chasing short-term fixes, do we risk sacrificing Bronny's development for a fleeting moment the league will eventually forget? What about Austin Reeves, the scrappy underdog who's been shaking the foundations quietly with every buzzer beater and highlight reel? Is he going to be the glue that holds this team's heart together, or just another casualty lost in the shuffle? Every move, every whispered rumor, every slice of trade chatter contributes to the fragile anatomy of this Lakers soul. And speaking of the front office, oh man, this is where the real intrigue boils over. Jeannie Buss remains our queen bee, steady and determined. But what happens if a billionaire outsider comes sniffing around, poised to upset the delicate balance that has kept this family-owned franchise uniquely complex and cherished? Could we witness a takeover that either elevates the Lakers to untouchable heights or shatters the identity forged since the Showtime days? Imagine the 1980s glitz with Magic and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Unstoppable, a team that danced on the court and captured hearts worldwide. Imagine the 2000s dynasty, Shaq and Kobe's ferocity, the relentless hunger that forged 3 straight banners. Or remember that glorious 2010 revenge title when passion and grit silenced all doubters. Then rewind to the 2020 bubble, where against all odds, this fractured team found a way to bring us the ultimate triumph in the most surreal circumstances imaginable. But that ride ends, and suddenly the post-title decline looms a haunted chapter we all fear revisiting with the current roster's instability. The Lakers are bleeding legacy as much as talent if they don't get this right. Now spin out to the West, where the ripple effects could rewrite the landscape in ways that keep us sleepless. The Warriors might be stumbling, but don't count them out there like the Hydra. Chop one head and 2 more appear. Denver's young stars are hungry, ready to pounce, waiting for any sign of Lakers' weakness. The Suns and Clippers have sharpened their claws, eyes darting for vulnerabilities in our chaos, ready to exploit every crack in our armor. What if this off-the-court maelstrom drags us down just enough for these rivals to surge past, turning Hollywood dreams into nightmare postseason exits? Can you imagine it year after year of rebuilding hype, key lottery picks burned, only to come up short while our rivals ascend? It's a knife-edge scenario, and every second the Lakers hesitate, the threat grows apace, street level, sitting, courtside or packed in the bar after a brutal loss. You feel it, the electric tension, the heartbreak, the raw desperation. This franchise is not just a team, it's the heartbeat of Los Angeles, a symbol of resilience and redemption and pride. Every whiff of a trade, every rumor sparks debates that last for days. Sleepless nights agonizing whether we're witnessing a masterstroke or a catastrophic blunder. And here lies the cruelest irony, the very thing we want most, to see the Lakers rise again, might be strangling us from within, tangled in doubt and second-guessing. But what if the front office has a plan we don't see? What if every move, every prospect like Holmes held onto despite diminishing trade value, is part of a chess game so subtle it only reveals itself late in the season and late in playoffs, when it counts most? What if, just maybe, the gamble to keep Holmes is about more than raw stats? It's about belief, trust and development, a spark waiting to ignite. What if the shadows he's been lost in aren't failure, but preparation biding time for the moment he becomes indispensable, the surprise weapon no one saw coming? And yet, imagine the opposite. What if hesitation costs us those precious assets? The future pick that could knit a star, the young core pieces who might become legends. What if clinging to fading promise blinds us to the glaring need for a proven, polished piece that finally pushes us over the edge? It's the cruel paradox we've lived with for decades. Lakers' glory demands risk, but risk invited defeat. Now imagine the weight the fans carry living through the highs of Showtime, the thundering highs of the three-peat, the sweet revenge of 2010, and the surreal joy of 2020. Only to face these gut-wrenching uncertainties, we bear the scars of past heartbreaks too fresh, too vivid to ignore. This isn't just analysis, it's a saga of loyalty, pain, and undying hope colliding in a vortex around one franchise. As a Laker till the day I die, here's what I see coming. A crossroads so epic it could either forge a fresh dynasty or shatter the very spirit that keeps us coming back year after year. The stakes have never been higher, the pressure never more crushing, and the margins never thinner. Now I want to hear it from you. Drop your raw take below. Every true believer in purple and gold. Are we standing at the dawn of a new empire or staring into the abyss of unraveling?